cooking!
Welcome back everybody, I'm the Smithie D and today we're back with another episode of How to Mod. So today in How to Mod we're going to be looking at the raid characters. So we won't be looking at every single one of them because I don't have every single one of them, so I'm not going to lie. I can advise you how to mod them, but I just maybe can't show you. So first character we're going to go with, the most important character to any raid squad, is Teebo. Why is that Teebo? Because he reduces the most turn meter. What that does, so his basic right there, once you've omega'd it, so it'll be normally 75% omega'd. Once it's omega'd, it deals physical damage to the target enemy, which we don't really care about. If Teebo is stealthed, also removes 100% turn meter. So what that does, is, and how to best kind of utilize that, is having Teebo as a leader. Also then, you have his leader, which is allies gain 55% chance to gain stealth for one turn. So at the beginning of each turn, it's determined if they're going to be stealthed or not. The more Teebo can be stealthed, the more turn meter he's going to be able to remove on his basic, as long as he's modded correctly. So you are going to need to gear him. Unfortunately, you may be able to get away with it without gearing him fully, because you can add some other mods that have some potency. But what you're going to need to use is this one. So if he isn't stealthed, this is, bear in mind, broken. Sometimes he comes out of the turn too early. Sometimes he can last in stealth for 3 turns. Other times he may only be once, which is quite disappointing that it has not been fixed yet, considering this raid may be close to over. We don't know any details of what's actually going on at the moment. If this raid's going to still be viable, can we still raid? How will this be raided compared to the new raid? Or if they're going to just keep it open and we can raid both depending on our level, because there's going to be obviously some guilds out there that may not be comfortable doing the new raid or may struggle doing the new raid. So until we have more details on that, we can't really give kind of like a lifeline on Teebo and how long he's going to last. But in the meantime, he's a very good character. You could use him in Galactic War if you wanted to. It's a fun character to use with some other Ewoks. He's not really arena viable. There's too many kind of like anti-debuffers around out there, like Palpatine and B2, that would rip Teebo to shreds. So this is how I have my Teebo set up, and this is for raids only. I don't really tend to use him in Galactic War. So I have his health at pretty much 24,425, his protection 28,460. They are okay, they're not the important things to Teebo. I have speed on him. The more turns he gets, the more chance he gets in and out of stealth, the more kind of like he's going to do pretty much. So in that meantime, depending what your other team is, you may not need to have him so quick, but I like to have my Teebo quick, and we'll show in another video of my Teebo getting a lot of turns in the actual raid. I don't have Rex, so I don't have the privilege of using Rex. I do have Ewok Elder, which we will go over in the same video of how to mod. I don't have 5s currently leveled up, so we won't be using 5s, and we'll be using Phasma in the replacement. We'll also speak about some Admiral Ackbar in this video as well. So potency is the most important thing. I've got 72% on him. The higher the better, to be honest. You know, 50-60% is viable, but 72% is going to pretty much kind of like take off the turn meter from the Rancor as well. It will get resisted, I'm not going to lie, and it is completely down to RNG. When it does decide to get resisted, you could go 16 kind of turns without being resisted, then 4 turns in a row it could be resisted 4 times in a row. That's the beauty of RNG, it's so random. Definitely important is your potency mods. Why that is, it's going to give you every 2 sets that are all leveled up to 15, it's going to give you an extra 10% potency onto your character, which is definitely needed for this character. If you don't have these potency mods, you should be farming Empire. Why is that? Because the meta is moving towards Empire, and also it has been semi-confirmed on Reddit that the Empire event is returning, the one with the Ewoks, the one that was difficult, the ones that I actually didn't have all the Empire, androids, and I did struggle on it and I hated it. But hopefully now I've got Palpatine in my corner, I've got a fully upgraded Tarkin, I've got some droids of somewhat, I've got Vader, I've still got RG. Hopefully, you know, we're going to have a good time when this event comes out. So it is predicted that it may come out at the end of this month, maybe a bit longer. But for that reason alone, if you are still wanting to get them Vader shards, definitely go for that. Get some Empire characters, even if you're semi doing them, get some Tarkin. If you're doing it on the side, it's totally up to you. It depends what your kind of objectives is at the moment, most importantly. But you do need Empire to unlock the potency. We've got speed, so we've got 30 speed, which is very important. It's another potency mod. Next one after that, we've got some speed, we've got some protection, another potency mod. This I've just gone for the actual 5% potency, so this doesn't actually really matter what you use, but as long as you get some potency. So if you get where the understanding is coming from this, that it's speed and potency is the most important thing, and if you can get some protection on there, hey, why not? So this one right here is another potency mod type with some protection. And last but not least is the 24% potency. This is a must. I don't believe you can really build a decent Teebo without this, because this gives so much potency and is definitely important. Qui-Gon Jinn. I don't think I've actually ever started or ran a raid without this character by my side. He works perfectly well with Teebo. He is actual basic, removes turn meter. I've done an actual video, if you haven't seen it already, how to mod Qui-Gon Jinn. So if you want to see a full breakdown of that, please go and check that out. But pretty much in a nutshell, what we've got on this character, we've gone with 180 speed because he gains himself from his basic, that he does gain kind of some TM for himself, and he also reduces TM. And I've also put potency on the character. I've got him at 94. I can normally get him around about 96. There is still a 65% chance that he's going to remove turn meter, so it's not guaranteed even the higher the potency. It's good to have high potency on him, so that is kind of taking out the equation that the reason why he's not hitting is because his potency is too low. So as a standard, I believe he has, without any mods, is around about 60% with him kind of like all geared up. I've had Qui-Gon Jinn geared. He was one of my first characters that I actually geared. Him and Rey were my first two. So I would advise kind of gearing this character. He's great for Galactic War, he's got a great dispel, he's got a great assist, you know, he's a very good kind of utility character. We've gone for offense. There is no right or wrong how you mod him. You know, if you want to put some potency on him, then please do. If you want to put some more protection on him, then please do. The next one on this, we've just gone for speed because I believe that is very, very important. Following the rest on that, we've got some potency on there, which is definitely important for this character. Especially if you are wanting him to land that kind of reduction of turn meter. I've gone for some offense. You could put protection on him, you could make him more tankier if you wanted to. You could find and put some speed on there. Speed is good, you know, the more turns he gets, the more chance he's going to have at reducing that all important rankars or the guard's turn meter. Protection, so on this one it's always going to be protection. Don't put HP on him or anything like that, stick with protection, because it's going to be more for the character of what percent you're actually going to be getting. If you can get any potency on there or any speed, then definitely put that on. And finally, for me, this is potency. You can choose and decide how you want to do, if you want to put protection, but for me, by how I use him and how I raid with him, potency is definitely where you want to go. So a cleanser. I don't currently use Admiral Ackbar anymore. I used to use Ackbar a lot before. This is the times before I had Ewok Elder. He's got some really, really good stuff. You know, some good abilities, some good attacks. He brings a lot to the squad in a raid. So if you do have Admiral Ackbar, if you haven't got him and you're wanting a cleanser and need one, then he's in the arena shipments. Definitely get him. He's going to be quicker to kind of get than actually Ewok Elder. Ewok Elder is going to take you a lot longer than what's available. That's what his basic does when it's Omega. He's got 55% chance to gain 45% turn meter, so it's going to make him a little bit quicker from his basic. It's a trap! As you can see, it cleanses, gives turn meter, which is good. Heals. It's not as great as a heal as Ewok Elder, because the difference between this one is that they actually have to have negative effects on them. The more negative effects, the more he's going to heal. So how I've modded this character, I haven't modded him for raids. I've modded him just overall for probably arena. So as you can see, these are the stats on here. So what you need from this character is going to be protection, speed. That's pretty much what you need. The more turns he gets, the more TM he's going to get from his basic, the more he's going to bring to your squad. So even with him being what on mine 151, if you put him up a little bit higher, there's nothing wrong with that. You want to keep this kind of character alive. So protection is probably going to be the best. You haven't got anything that you need potency or tenacity. It's completely up to yourself if you want to add that onto him to make him so he resists more. But in the raids itself, there isn't much. You know, they have quite strong potency itself, so there isn't really anything that you're going to need on that aspect. But I just wanted to quickly briefly go over Admiral Ackbar. I'm not really going to go into his kind of mods. I just wanted to show he's still viable. You can use him. Ewok Elder. Since I got him to 7-star, I actually have not touched Admiral Ackbar in the actual raid side of things. Admiral Ackbar I use now and again for Galactic War and sometimes for the actual arena. So if I had Rex, I won't lie, I probably wouldn't use Ewok Elder, because Rex has that reduced turn meter on his basic, where Ewok Elder is a little bit of the opposite. He delivers, he gives turn meter from his basic to Teebo, which is very important. But overall, if I had a character that reduced turn meter on their actual basic, I would not be using this character. He's a very good character for what he does. He revives, he actually gives turn meter, he does all that, you know, he's fantastic, but I wouldn't be using him. He also gives turn meter of 10% once he's Omega to the other characters. So really, with this character, how you really want to use him is speed. I have 174 speed on him. You want to have speed, protection, health, anything like that. You don't need potency again or tenacity. You don't really need that. You don't need physical critical chance because he's not there to actually do the damage. So this character alone, the mods are straightforward. You know, you can mod him in any way you like as long as you're reaching the goals of speed, protection, and health. So as you can see, mine isn't the best of how I would want him to be, but sometimes we have to make do with what we've got. And more importantly, you know, we've got some protection there. If I could, maybe I would put some protection there. That would make him more kind of tankier. He's going to keep alive longer, so he's there as my asset. He's my kind of support to my squad. Geonosian Soldier. So this character is my assisting DPS, so you can change your assistant if you've got 5s and then throw 5s in. 5s isn't there for your DPS, but you could also use Ray if you wanted to, or another assisting character. You can swap this round a bit. It doesn't have to be Geonosian Soldier. I just prefer Geonosian Soldier and over Ray, and I don't have a lot of the big character selection for the actual DPS itself, so you're free to mix this up as much as you like. But more importantly, of how I've modded Geonosian Soldier. So I will be bringing out a video soon on how to mod Geonosian Soldier, so look out on that. So I'll briefly touch over in this video of what I've currently got on Geonosian Soldier and what I use him for. So straight away, I want Geonosian Soldier to have a lot of speed. It's not necessarily, because if you can get his crit chance up, he's going to get a lot of turn meter from that alone every time he crits. So he's going to get 50% kind of like turn meter every time he hits a crit once it's Omega'd. So it's very similar to what HK does for droid teams, if you're familiar with that. So the speed I've got is 197. I've got him at a fairly decent-ish protection at 17,807. I've got his health at 15,564. If you want to increase that to make him more tankier, please go ahead, please do. I've got his critical damage at 216%. So that's definitely worth it in my eyes to get a really high number. I normally can crit for about 22k with a fence up, so that's good for arena if you wanted to use him for the arena or a galactic war, and he works very well with my raid team. So I'm not really bothered about potency or tenacity on that one bit, just because the character itself, he's not going to debuff, and his tenacity is very kind of like low anyway. So I'm not really fussed about getting that up, and I'm not going to focus on areas like that. His physical crit damage, if you can get that as high as possible, the better he's going to perform. So currently I have him at 50.96%, so it's close to 51% critical chance. If you can get into 60, 70, then definitely go for it. You can probably definitely swap any of these mod setups I've got to get his kind of crit chance higher. He will damage less, but he's going to be getting more turn meter, so if you can guarantee him to have that critical chance, getting those crits, he's going to perform a lot better within raids. So currently on this one I've got the actual critical chance, I've got the actual type itself is crit damage, and we've also got the speed as well with some critical chance. Following on from that, we've got the free speed, we've got a high critical chance. So I've used a lot of Anakin's mods from the arena here, so what I do a lot, I do swap the mods around from my arena team to my raid team. Yeah, it is not the best way to do things because it's a lot of swapping around, and I don't really like to sit there and keep swapping around and then swapping around. It's not about the credits, it's about the timing and making sure the right mods go back onto the right character. So if you can get mods that's fantastic that are just for one character, you don't have to do what I do, then definitely do that. If not, then you're in the same boat as myself and you're actually having to swap these very important mods around. Potency, don't need that. Defense, I'm not really bothered about that. It's the speed, critical damage really, that was the main thing for me, and the actual type of mod that was. Next on this is always going to be protection. We've got some decent critical chance there, some speed. I'm not really worried about having that defense there or that tenacity. It doesn't really bother me that much on there. On the final one, I'm probably going to go for protection or offense. It's totally up to yourself. If you can get some critical chance as the secondaries, do it. You know, it's definitely worth it. You don't need potency. And also as well with the triangle, if you wanted to put the critical chance to give him some more critical chance over the critical damage, do it. The worst that's going to happen is you're just going to have less kind of damage of what you see on the screen, but overall if you're getting more kind of like TM, got speed on him, then he's going to be doing overall the same damage or more. Captain Phasma. If I had 5s all geared up and ready to roll, I actually wouldn't be using Phasma. Yeah, Phasma is great, but 5s brings more to the squad when it comes to speed down. You know, I do have a Jawa all geared up, so I may try the Jawa for the actual speed down. But 5s would bring the counter, and how you would mod 5s is pretty much you want to have some potency on him, you want to have some speed, and most of all protection. That is a very, very well rounded way to do 5s. If you want to put some crit chance on there, so he's then critting, getting some more hits because he gets increased damage, or depending on what you want him to actually go with on 5s, but that would be the way I would look into modding him first and see how he kind of fares. And there's another good character that works well but would really need Phasma, and that's Dengar. Victory match that all allies gain 50% turn meter and advantage for 2 turns. You need to use this wisely within your raid and just don't spam it. There's going to be important times when you're going to need it, when if for example you need that extra bit of turn meter for Teebo to get his next move if it's already been resisted, and hopefully that what you got is a fingers crossed that you're going to be able to then reduce the turn meter. But it's totally up to yourself how you use it. That is how I use it. I'll show you in my other raid video if you're interested in watching that. I will be putting that up hopefully at some point today. This is a very good move. This is pretty much where the potency comes into play, that you want to have high potency on Captain Phasma because you want to do the speed down. So Phasma is pretty much easy to get. So she is from the actual Galactic Warshipments, so she's not too difficult, whereas 5s is going to come from the squad cantina. Leader, yeah, if you haven't got Teebo, she's a good leader. I've used her plenty of times before I had Teebo or geared Teebo, but those days were many times ago. I probably wouldn't look at using Phasma as a leader for the raid since Teebo is in my squad now. But if you're starting out and you haven't got Teebo and that was your question, yeah, she's good. She did me good. There's some extra kind of assists that you get from there, some extra damage. But it's up to you how you run your squad. You know, you may want to go for another leader, for example. But we're not here for that today. We're just here about briefly how to mod certain characters that I've got. So let's just have a look at Phasma. So pretty much we've got some protection on her. We've got some health. We've got some speed. I believe that's very important because we don't want to be in too slow because we want to be using her abilities. Potency is equally important because you want to be landing that speed down, and the speed down itself does work against the ranker as long as you've got high enough potency. Or you've got Dengar in your squad, but the important part of having Dengar is that you're going to get that crit to put the intensity down. Intensity on her itself, it's up to yourself where you want to put it. At the minute mine's at 40%. So what we have on Phasma as the first mod is Potency mod type. So if you don't have the Potency mod type, as advised before, go and grab them if you can from the Empire. So you're going to need 5 Empire characters. We're going to have the new Empire event coming. What's similar to military might, like the old one versus Ewok. So if you are wanting to get them Vader shards, you are going to need to have somewhat of some Empire characters or some droids. It's totally up to yourself what you do, if that is something that you're wanting to do, but that is also hitting the kind of like 2 birds with 1 stone kind of theory, that you'll be able to have an all-important Empire squad to get these kind of potency mods. So as you can see on this one, there's some critical chance, some protection, speed and protection is probably the most important 2 things for me on there, and the actual mod type itself. On the actual arrow, we've got 30 speed, we've got some potency, we've got some offense, protection. I believe protection's good to have on her because she's very tanky as it is, but potency is probably the most important with speed. With her having this potency and not speed, then what's going to happen is these actual abilities aren't going to regenerate in a good timely fashion. And the more time she has, the more time she's going to regenerate her moves. Critical chance, so I don't really need that on her. But it's also good for her to crit, but she's going to do that from her turn meter up when she puts advantage up, and that will then give defense down. It could get resisted, but it also depends on your potency. On this one right here, we've got critical damage. That could be changed. You don't need to have that 1 bit. That could be changed to protection, so that's completely up to yourself. This one right here, we've got protection, some potency on there. So it's totally up to yourself. The more potency you can get, so if you've got more potency mod types, then whack them on. That's always a defo. And the last but not least is always going to be potency. You're going to need this one. You could have some protection if you want, but if you want her to hit that speed down. Thank you very much for watching my video today. If you've enjoyed this video, then please leave a like, and if you haven't already subscribed, then please do. And I want to give a big thank you to all my subscribers that are following me currently, and I thank you very much for your support. I really do appreciate it. I'm the Smithie D. May the force be with you, and enjoy the rest of your day.